In a kingdom ruled by opulence and order, there lived a king with 12 daughters, each more radiant than the last. But a profound mystery shrouded the royal castle. Every morning, the princesses' dancing shoes, once pristine, were found tattered and worn, as if they had danced all night long. Yet, their chamber door was always locked from the outside. The king, perplexed and worried, declared that any man who could solve this mystery would win the hand of one of his daughters and inherit a part of his kingdom. Many princes and noblemen tried, guarding the princess's door through the night, but by dawn, they had all vanished without a trace, and the shoes were as worn as ever. The castle, for all its grandeur, felt like a gilded cage, its long corridors echoing with unanswered questions. What secret could these 12 sisters possibly be hiding? What happened behind that locked door each night? The puzzle deepened with every passing day, the pile of ruined shoes growing ever larger in the castle's storerooms. The kingdom whispered, speculating about curses, enchantments, or secret lovers. The king grew more desperate, his brow furrowed with worry. The princesses, however, remained serene, their eyes holding a glimmer of a secret they would not share. They would simply smile, exchange knowing glances, and prepare for another night, another dance, another pair of shoes destined for ruin. The answer lay hidden, waiting for someone not just brave, but clever enough to look beyond the obvious. One day, a humble soldier, weary from war but with a kind heart and a sharp mind, arrived at the castle. He had heard the tales and, unlike the others who sought riches and power, he was driven by pure curiosity and a touch of compassion for the seemingly trapped princesses. An old woman he had helped on his journey gave him a magical cloak of invisibility, warning him not to drink the wine the princesses would offer. Armed with this advice and his wits, the soldier accepted the king's challenge. That evening, as the eldest princess offered him a goblet of spiced wine, he only pretended to drink, letting the drugged liquid spill secretly into a sponge hidden in his coat. He then feigned a deep, snoring sleep. Believing him to be unconscious, the 12 princesses began their nightly ritual. They dressed in their most splendid gowns, their faces alight with anticipation. The eldest clapped her hands 3 times, and with a soft rumble, her bed sank into the floor, revealing a hidden staircase. One by one, the sisters descended into the darkness, their laughter echoing up into the chamber. The soldier, now invisible under his magical cloak, silently followed them down the spiraling steps, careful not to make a sound. He was about to step into a world beyond anyone's wildest imagination, a world that held the key to the entire mystery. The staircase led them into a breathtaking, subterranean realm. The soldier gasped inaudibly. The first grove of trees they passed had leaves of pure, shimmering silver that chimed like tiny bells in a non-existent breeze. He carefully broke off a small twig as proof. They continued on, entering a second grove where the leaves were made of glittering gold, and then a third, where the trees were adorned with sparkling diamonds. Each time, the soldier took a small branch, the rustling sound startling the youngest princess, who felt as though someone was following them. But her sisters dismissed her fears, their minds set on their destination. Finally, they arrived at the shore of a vast, underground lake. Moored at the water's edge were 12 elegant boats, each waiting, with a handsome prince. A princess stepped into each boat, and the soldier managed to slip into the one with the youngest princess and her partner. The boat felt unusually heavy, and the prince had to row with all his might, complaining that he'd never had to work so hard. On the other side of the lake stood a magnificent castle, illuminated from within by a soft, ethereal light. Music, enchanting and irresistible, drifted across the water, pulling them closer. As they disembarked, the soldier knew he was on the verge of discovering the heart of the secret. The sounds of a grand ball pulsed from the castle, a celebration hidden from the world above. Inside, a grand ballroom unfolded before his eyes. The floor was polished obsidian, reflecting a ceiling of captured stars. Couples were already swirling to the mesmerizing music, their movements graceful and full of life. The 12 princesses and their princes joined the dance, and the soldier watched, captivated. This was no ordinary ball. The air itself seemed to hum with magic. The flora wasn't just glowing, it was alive, pulsing in time with the music. The elegant dances weren't just for joy, they were a form of communion, a ritual that seemed to pour energy into the very foundations of this hidden world. The princesses danced with a passion and freedom they never showed in their own kingdom, their feet flying, their gowns spinning, and their shoes were taking a beating on the hard, magical floor. The soldier watched for hours as they danced without rest. The music never faltered, and the princess's energy never waned. It became clear that this was where their shoes were worn to shreds. But why? Why this elaborate secret? The soldier noticed that as they danced, the light from the glowing plants brightened, the air grew warmer, and the entire world seemed to become more vibrant and alive. A thought began to form in his mind. This wasn't just a party. It was something far more important. As the night wore on, he saw the youngest princess stumble, her shoe finally giving way. The dance was a frantic, beautiful, and ultimately destructive act, at least for their footwear. The climax of the night was approaching. As the first hint of dawn threatened the world above, the music softened. It was time for the princesses to return. The soldier, his pockets heavy with proof, slipped out of the ballroom and hurried back across the lake ahead of them. He climbed the hidden staircase and was back in his feigned sleep long before the princesses returned, exhausted but with glowing, happy faces, leaving their ruined shoes at the foot of their beds. The next morning, the soldier presented himself to the king. He revealed the silver, gold, and diamond branches. He described the underground lake and the secret castle. The princesses, confronted with the evidence, turned pale. The king summoned his daughters. At first, they denied everything, but when the soldier produced a golden cup from the secret ball that he had also taken, they knew their secret was out. The eldest princess, her voice trembling but firm, finally spoke the truth. This was no mere nightly escape. The underground kingdom was a delicate, magical world that their ancestors had sworn to protect. It was a place of pure creation, a wellspring of magic that helped sustain the beauty and prosperity of their own kingdom above. The dances were not for simple pleasure. They were a vital ritual, a transfer of life energy that kept the hidden world from fading into darkness. The princes were not suitors, but guardians of that realm, bound to the same ancient duty. The king was stunned into silence. This revelation changed everything. His daughters were not disobedient or frivolous. They were upholding a sacred, ancient responsibility. The soldier, far from being a simple captor of their secret, had become its discoverer. Seeing the truth and the beauty in their actions, the king's anger melted away, replaced by awe and pride. He understood now that the restrictive castle was the reason they needed this escape, this fulfillment of their duty. In an act of wisdom, the king not only pardoned his daughters but also celebrated their secret role. The soldier, offered his choice of a bride, chose the eldest princess, not as a prize, but as a partner. He vowed to help protect the secret world. The mystery of the 12 dancing princesses was solved, not with punishment, but with understanding and wonder, ensuring the magical world below would continue to thrive, its secrets now safely kept by those who loved it most. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this magical tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from the realms of fantasy and folklore. See you next time.